All right, man. What a day for Chicago, man. Obviously, a very nice day. It was outside today. I know I'm recording this late at night, so you guys will probably see this in the morning. But today, obviously, some great weather. But even more important, the Bears made some amazing moves for the team, man. I mean, we look at some of the guys that we signed here. I'm going to go through all three, well, technically four guys that we signed onto the team. And these signings won't be official until Wednesday because that's when the legal signing period is. I believe that's also when the new league year starts. So technically anything could happen, but I highly doubt it. It's really rare that these signings don't, pull through for us. But going through the guys that we signed, which first off, we signed my top guy. If you watched my other video on my top three free agency signings, my top guy for free agency was center Drew Dalman, formerly from the Atlanta Falcons. So thank you, Ryan Pace, for letting that happen to us. And this was a 3-year, $42 million deal that includes $28 million guaranteed, as I have on my other screen here. And honestly, guys, this is an A-plus move for me. A-plus move. You finally addressed a position that we have just had so many issues with. I mean, we literally have not had a quality starting center since maybe 7, 8 years ago, back when Cody Whitehair was a Pro Bowl athlete. Ever since then, it's been pretty much the washed version of himself, Sam Mustipher, Lucas Patrick, Coleman Shelton, and that's pretty much all we've had to write home on. And obviously, we've known that the interior of our offensive line has been sort of the main issue with us for the past few seasons now. Obviously, you got Darnell Wright, you got Braxton Jones, who's solid, but the interior, man, whether it was Tevin Jenkins getting injured, whether it was Nate Davis, the terrible signing that he was, or the turnstile we had at center, we could not get that interior right. And now Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson said enough is enough. Let's finally get this interior settled after trading for Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson and now signing Drew Dalman. That is a huge A+, and not even for a lot of money either. $14 million a season, pretty much it averages out to. When reports were saying that he could get paid as much as $18 million, which is what Creed Humphrey, the highest paid center, is making. So absolutely home run move for us. I'm so glad that we should have, the center of our future now. Obviously, this isn't a guy who's on Creed Humphrey's level, but he is so much more of an upgrade than we have had for God knows how long, man. It's been years, been many years since we've had a quality center. And moving on to the next guy on our list here, and that was Dayo Odeyingbo. I might be saying that last name wrong, but Dayo, I'm just going to stick with Dayo, formerly a defensive end / defensive tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. We assigned him to a 3-year, $48 million deal with $32 million guaranteed, so that averages around $16 million per season. Now, this one I was a bit skeptical on because I honestly never really heard of Dayo before the signing happened, so I had to do more research on tape and everything. And here's what I will say. I don't like the money. $16 million is a little steep for a guy who honestly only had 3 sacks last season, and his highest sack total was 8, which was 2 years ago. Now, that's solid. Obviously, 8 sacks is, nothing to laugh at. But, when you're paying a guy $16 million, you want a guy that's a little bit more proven. And unfortunately for Dale, he's not. However, if you look at the tape, though, I am actually very impressed by his athleticism. He is 6'6". I believe he's around like 280, 290 pounds. And the way he moves, honestly, he should not be moving for his size. He's an extremely athletic and, might I add, a very young guy. He's only 25 years old right now. So obviously this move is more of a high risk, high upside type of move by Ryan Poles. And obviously we could imagine that Dennis Allen had his hand at play here, saying to Ryan Poles, hey, this is a guy I feel like I can turn around and sort of mold into a quality starter that maybe the Colts could not. And I actually heard that the Colts were planning on retaining him, but it just kind of came down to the money. They didn't feel that the $16 million or however much he was asking for from the Colts wasn't worth it, and so they let him walk. So not the greatest move on my end, but I can see where the logic lies. And honestly, defensive lineup is perfect. I'm never going to really laugh at that too much unless it's something absolutely terrible. But Dayo Odeyingbo, I think that's what I was going to... I'm going to try to get that name right because it's going to bother me if I don't. But we got the youth. We got sort of, the upside there. You see the athleticism if you go watch the tape. So hopefully Dennis Allen can find a way to use him or just at least be a solid rotational piece on the D-line. And then the next move and sort of the last notable move for us was signing Pro Bowl or former Pro Bowl defensive tackle Grady Jarrett also formerly from the Atlanta Falcons. So that makes 2 Atlanta Falcons that we signed today. Once again, thank you very much, Ryan Pace, for allowing that to happen. I know that he's not the GM over there, but he's just on their staff. But anyways, going into the deal here, it is also a 3-year deal. It is $43.5 million with $28.5 million fully guaranteed. And once again, not a crazy move like a Drew Dalman, but I would say definitely in that middle ground between Dale's contract and Drew's contract, where I kind of just say, you know what, obviously he's not going to be the same game record that he was, 5-6 years ago, but he's still very solid, man. I know he's 32 years old, I believe turning 32, or he is 32 right now, but he is still a terrific run stopper even at his age, and we need the depth. Honestly, after Andrew Billings went down last year, our run defense went completely downhill, man. We obviously saw it. Once Andrew Billings was gone, he was pretty much our only run stopper. Unfortunately, Javon Dexter is still not finished developing, so he's not a guy that can, sort of take on that sort of Aaron Donald role by himself. And he's still young. He's still, developing, which is fine. And for a guy like, Grady Jarrett, who can sort of step in and be at the very least a rotational piece and sort of bringing that veteran presence, that former Pro Bowl experience, maybe even able to coach up a guy like Javon Dexter. I love this move, honestly. Nothing crazy in terms of the, money. You're talking about only 28.5 guaranteed, so you have an easy out after pretty much 2 years, and I like it. I'm not obviously over the moon about it like I was with Drew Dalman, but we've got ourselves a defensive end, a defensive tackle. So we now are addressing the trenches that desperately needed to be addressed. And obviously he's not going to stop there, guys. We have the draft coming up. We can use a first-round pick on a defensive tackle or an edge, or we can use the second-round picks on those positions, depending on what Ryan Poles feels is best for this team. But I love it, man. Grady Jarrett to the Bears. Obviously, you got Deo, you got Drew Dalman. We did actually re-sign one guy, Tarvarius Moore, on a 1-year deal. He was our safety, but he mostly plays special teams, so nothing really there to talk about. He's just a special teams guy. But I still want to show love to him because he's still a signing for us. But all that, man, on the very first day of free agency, now obviously we sort of pretty much just expended all our money, so we're not going to really see any more big name signings, and obviously all the big names are pretty much gone by now. Josh Sweat went to the Cardinals. You got other guys like DJ Reed went to the Lions, which was a really good signing for them. So I don't expect any crazier moves coming from the Bears. So now it's really just up to the draft, man. And looking at these, sort of signings, we've got all 3 of our major signings being in the trenches. I would not be surprised, man. Ashton Genty at pick number 10, man. You've got finally a good offensive line, at least on paper. And you've got a chance, if the Raiders don't draft him, a guy who is far and away the best running back in this draft, to fall to you. And, man, you've got yourself an amazing team, man. Watch out for the Chicago Bears. I don't want to be, the offseason chance for like the 4th year in a row. We actually have to turn this into, wins on the field. But, man, we are getting so close there, man. The trenches, the quarterback, and now the coaching staff are being set. This should be a great season. Let me know what you guys think about all these moves, man. Do you like all these moves? Do you, not like some of them? Let me know. Bear down, I'm out.